Welcome to the Sleepy G Show. I'm the host for your most. My name is Gomez, and today I have a great special guest. Why? Because he is, let's say, co-founder of the new home of the Sleepy G Show, Unfiltered Studios, and probably a great podcaster, finding your way, the Beeps. What's going on, man?
Not much. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
How did I don't know the answer to this question, but how did the Giants Cowboys game end? I shouldn't have asked because I left when it just started, and then I just got home right before I got on the show.
Let me put it this way: Cooper Rush was in the third quarter.
That what? It was that bad?
I think it was 42-7.
Oh shoot!
And let me tell you, the Giants quarterback should not admit that he lives at home with his mother. Fucking pussy.
Sorry, I couldn't help but ask. I didn't know the score. I was like, well, maybe they did all right. You know what I mean? Because
No.
I have a few friends who are Giants fans, and
Yeah,
I have a lot of friends who are
I die blue here.
okay.
Giants, Rangers,
Yeah,
and kind of the Yankees.
kinda.
Well, I stopped really watching baseball.
I got you.
Um,
You're like me. I'm a Red Sox fan, but I'm like a fifth generation Red Sox fan,
yeah,
right? Like
I got you.
it's born into you. You can't get
Yep.
rid of it.
Yeah,
Like
you're stuck with it.
I mean, when the Red Sox finally won the World Series back in like '04, like
Yes.
cried like a baby. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I cried like a baby too in '98 and
Right.
'99 and
I'm sure you
2000.
did, and all the other 30 you got. So
Yeah,
anyway,
27.
right. So
But I'm like, so like now I became a collector of hats.
right.
So I have the old school 1993 Florida Marlin hat.
No kidding.
Yeah,
That is old school.
that is old school. And then I got the 1997 Florida Marlin World Series patch hat with the
Yeah.
original Florida Marlin. But one of my favorite hats, and I'm not a huge fan of, is Phillies. But it's the old maroon cap with the white P in the middle.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
love that.
That's
And
classy.
that it's a
I did like the old Phillies hat. That is
I
classy.
could not go wrong. New Era was selling it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? I want that hat. I bought it. So
Yeah.
someone goes, "You're a trader." I go, "No, I'm not."
Oh,
It's
people, come on.
you know what I'm gonna
Come
do?
on, people.
Even for Kev, I'm gonna buy an Atlantic Braves hat. The
Yeah.
only hat I might not put on this head is Boston, but again,
Yeah.
I might
They
even
do
wear.
have some good old hats, though.
They do actually. I do actually respect a couple of the hats. I even though I'm not a New York Mets fan, I
Yeah.
actually like their blue and orange,
Hmm.
which is their hat. You know, the main hat they always wore. It's like the orange NY with the blue hat all over it. I don't know
There's some sort
why.
of there's some sort of nostalgia,
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
yeah. So for me,
Old school
that
nostalgia.
hat, yeah, the old school hats mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's but I have my own for the show, Sleevy
Yeah.
G.
I like it. I do like your look. I like your logo. I like your hat, and I like your personality.
Thank you, man.
We're glad that you're here with us at Unfiltered
Well,
Studio.
yeah, me too, man. That was a funny story. I was talking to Kev Pryor. He
Hmm.
came on the show. We talked about his book coming out and everything. We got to
Yeah.
thank Mama D because she's the one who hooked me up with him.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
and that
man. Yeah, you're talking about two of my favorite people on the planet Earth is Mama D and Kip. Those two people, you can trust their you can trust their word. They're gonna do exactly what they say they're gonna do. But also, they're just good people.
yes,
Just good people.
everybody. When I sent the email in, I didn't know Kev was the other co-founder with you, and he
Mhm.
was like sending me messages through Twitter or X. Sorry. I'm like, dude, you should have just asked me. I'm like, well, I didn't know. Like, I don't know who
Right.
I just wanted to see if anybody be interested in my show. I didn't know you
Well,
were
yeah.
I didn't know you guys would be the main guy or one of the main guys. I said, he goes, let me talk to everybody. I got to get it voted. And then within a couple of days, boom, it happened.
Yeah.
And can I
Yeah.
tell
And
you,
I mean, for anybody who might be listening out there who is a podcast, you know, uh, you should check us out for
definitely.
sure. I mean, we uh we are into support and networking for
Mhm.
sure. And if we think you have, the right mindset for our studio, we are not afraid to invite you. So
I'm a living truth proof on that one. And actually, my buddy John, movie
Movie
lovers
lovers.
united.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
he's a great guy too. And
Excited to see what they're going to keep doing. I mean, they have over 700 episodes
he
strong.
actually, I think
He's a machine.
he is a machine. We're actually, am I doing one with him soon? I think
I am.
I know I am too. Um, is it the 14th? Yeah, next Tuesday. We're
Mm.
doing the Thanksgiving episode of Son-in-Law.
Oh yeah, son-in-law. Man,
Yes, Steven
talk about
Tyler
some
PGs.
nostalgia. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That's
I
like
mean,
I can't think of any other Thanksgiving films.
neither could I, but that one, well, mm,
The only ones I can think of right now are Christmas films, so I can't.
yeah, because it's so close to Christmas. That's the problem. I mean, Charlie Brown had a Thanksgiving episode, didn't he?
Yeah, what was it called?
I don't know. I don't have my
The Great Turkey or something like that.
yeah, something like, oh, that was the Great Pumpkin. That's the
Right.
Halloween one. Well, he probably had the Great Turkey too.
I
You
can't.
know,
You know what? I bet I got a copy of it. My mom gave us copies of all of the Peanuts holiday films because they were the films. You know what I mean?
I was like Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, those are
yeah.
great times though. But
Absolutely.
to getting onto the network with you guys was an exciting time for me, especially someone like my stature of just starting this year, January of this year,
Yeah,
uh, putting up 40 some odd episodes at that point.
yeah.
Being signed with you guys was like one of my biggest accomplishments.
Well, what the podcasting community needs to know about you is that you have a lot of good energy
I know. I
and
appreciate it.
and and like you're there. The attitude is one you want to help, and two you just got a lot of real positive energy about you. That's, man, I'll tell you, world needs more of that.
I appreciate that. It
So
means a lot.
keep
Um,
pushing it forward, dude, for sure.
oh, without a doubt. I
Absolutely.
mean, I had some great comments during shows and after shows. One of my favorites is Tony Cavino, in theory, the lead singer, and he
Hmm.
had some great things to say. And even after the show, he gave me his number, and we've talked a
That's
couple
cool.
times, and uh, just an exciting time. I mean, anything I could do to put out good material, like talk to you tonight, this is great stuff that we're talking about already.
Hmm.
And we even got a chance to talk about your podcast, which we will next. Um, it's just an exciting time right now because it's January is my 1 year coming up, and I'm like ecstatic.
You
Um,
should be. You
when
should be. Now, look, podcasting is not easy, bro.
no,
You know what I mean? Like podcasting is not easy. I was one of the things where there are people who, first of all, if you're out there, you're like, I should start a podcast. You know, the only advice I can give you is talk to people who've done it.
yeah,
That'd be step number one, and then step number two, just go do it. There are a
putting in the
couple things you
time.
got to get, but most computers have a microphone already on it.
Yep, they do.
All you need is a set of headphones and
But I
write
think
yourself.
you got to find your niche too a little bit. Like it took me a
Yeah,
while when I was on Playlist Wars. It took me, I think, I want to say it was episode 3 or 4, the Beastie Boys,
yeah,
and I did a spot where No Sleep to Brooklyn, and I just threw this out there. I go, hey, anybody remember that Steven Seagal movie Out for Justice? Like, oh, and everyone was going crazy, and I'm like,
yeah,
there we go, I found it. You know what I mean? Like now I
yeah,
know how to spice up this podcast a little bit more,
yeah.
and
No,
things
yeah.
like
I think
that.
the thing that all of us who podcast, and the reason why podcasting I think is so big in our culture right now is that it gives us a voice out into the world.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We feel like we've got something to share, and it allows us the opportunity to do that.
And for like, and where I'm at here in New Jersey, talking about the toughest market in the area
Right.
because I'm competing in New York, New
Oh,
Jersey,
with a million.
Philly,
Yeah.
Massachusetts, Connecticut, and any guys who I can get from the West Coast. I'm competing with LA markets, and even if I was competing with down south, it's not easy. It's wherever you're. It's tough, but you know what? When you can get local celebrities like I did in New Jersey, like a
Hmm.
Christina Bear, Cara DeFalco, Don Smith, Marissa Brainey, those people, for them to come on my show are huge for me. Two-time Emmy Award
Hmm.
winners. That's huge for a little show. In 4 episodes, to have somebody who's a
Yeah.
two-time Emmy Award winner,
Hmm.
and it was her very first live podcast.
Yeah. You
So
should be
from
excited by that, dude. That's
oh,
amazing.
and you believe it or not, I still talk to them. I still talk to
Yeah.
Christina, Karen, all them. Kara, we're going to be doing a New Year's Eve episode, the do's and don'ts. So that
Oh
should be a
yeah.
lot of fun. Yeah, she's a lot of fun. I got to hang out with her once before. We went out to dinner and actually laughed our asses off. Had a good time. Consider her as a friend. Just it's great to meet amazing people, and that's what I love to do. And even some of them are my friends, Angela Bright and Egan, with her son being
Hmm.
autistic. That meant the world to me because first of all, she was a classmate, great friend to me, and to have
Hmm.
her on meant a lot. And let me tell you, seeing her son grow up now through Instagram and Facebook, for me, it's seeing how well he's doing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that podcasting does is it connects you with people that you wouldn't otherwise be connected to.
Hmm.
Now, that person right there is a reconnection, right?
Yes,
Yeah. And so what it does is my experience is it brings people together.
yes,
Like
it
it
does.
actually brings you together. It, people you've never met before or people you have met before. Like shoot, I have an episode out where I contacted a dude I hadn't spoken to in years and he came on the show and it was like a reconnection of just a couple of brothers who, we wandered off in our separate directions, but we
Hmm.
could reconnect and have a podcast show together. And it was like we had never left,
Yeah.
but podcasting can do that for you.
And that's a positivity. You know what I mean? I'm blessed. I guess I'm blessed with the gift of gab, as everyone says I
Hmm.
do. But
Yeah.
I also do listen. Bring up points. Another one that was very touching to my heart was a kid I coached in high school. I had the opportunity to coach high school football,
Hmm.
and Brandon Swillinger is married. He's got twins with CP. He's also a Marine. He served
Hmm.
our country. He's an officer down in Texas. Um, to hear what he's gone through, and he actually that was the first time I cried in my own episode because he
Yeah.
had me crying, and he was crying
Yeah.
too. And I'll tell you, man, when you see tears like that, man, it's not tears of joy. Tears of just enjoying the conversation and hearing the struggles, man. We're all struggling,
Mhm.
even
Yeah, we
after
are.
COVID. I mean, I'm surviving COVID again.
You still going through it, huh?
I'm still going through this drip. I feel
Yeah.
great. I
Yeah.
feel amazing. But this
Takes
drip,
it takes weeks. Yeah.
oh God, I'm on. I went to see the doctor for the fifth and final time. I'm like, I know I'm a type 2 diabetes, but give me the prednisone, please. Give me a small dose
Do
and
something.
just do something for me. But I feel good. I mean, it's just one of those things that it just it hurts the voice a little bit, but you know what? This is why I said go hard or go home this
Yeah.
week. It's been like a theme this week. You know, I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm doing it because I have people who love listening. I do it for the fans. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for the glory. I do it because I
Mhm.
love it. That's the difference between me and some other podcasters of the world. Some people want to do it for the fame. Some people want to do it for the money. I just do it because I'm a small guy in a big world, and that small guy always has the bigger voice,
Mhm.
and that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And you can hear it during your show. Is you got something that you can bring to the world that's different from other people, and it's easy to see and hear.
Hmm.
And you know what? That's what's the word? That is magnetic. People want
Yes,
to hear it. Right.
and
Absolutely.
and I be it's kind of funny when you started. I know it's supposed to be about you, but and we're talking about each other here. But it's kind
Yeah.
of funny. In January, I had a goal:
Hmm.
500 downloads, 50 YouTube subscriber by December. That was a realistic goal, I thought, for a small guy
Yeah.
who no connections, no nothing, just worked
Absolutely.
hard. I went on Instagram, I went on emails, Twitter, whatever I could do. When I broke 900 downloads in August, I was
Hmm.
like, no way.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no bleeping way. And then I had over 52 YouTube subscribers. Here I am sitting with you tonight. I think I'm at 1,687 downloads and 66 subscribers.
Yeah.
And for me, it feels great. I'm a 1980s kid. Well, I was born in 79, but
Hmm.
80s. One thing I always said, one of my favorite shows growing up was Knight Rider, Michael Knight.
Yeah.
And the one saying, one man can make a difference. I said,
Yeah.
if I could be that one man, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you are growing, and that is, always moving forward is the way to be headed,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Oh,
So,
without a doubt. But your show too, Finding the Way.
finding your way. Yeah.
Finding Your Way, sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, I'll smack myself in the head later. Uh
It's all right.
your program does the same thing. You're down to earth, but you're telling the truth. You got the serious side, which
Hmm.
is a good side because sometimes some people need that side.
Yeah. So my philosophy is a little bit different, I
Mm-hmm.
think, than most people's. I don't have like I would say most podcasters, they start a show, they want it to be light, they want it to be less serious, they want it to be funny, they want a lot of listeners. Now, don't get me wrong, I want a lot of listeners.
Yeah.
But but really, what I promised myself when I started the show was, and the reason I started the show was because the message I had, I want to help. And it started during COVID because I looked at during COVID, I realized there are so many people that are just scared out of their mind.
Yeah.
And I grew up, Sleepy, you know, um, this is who I am. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
bringing who I am to your show. I grew up in a household where Christianity was the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like, oh, religion or church or whatever is the forefront. It is, we believe in something that is higher than ourselves. And we believe that thing that is higher than ourselves pushes people forward in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And so my show is predicated on the idea is I don't care how many listens I get as long as somebody who's listening gets help from it.
Right.
That's it. So if I'm speaking something that's truth and someone that, I don't care if it's just one person that's listening, if it changes them or if it helps them, then my job's done.
Yeah.
And that makes any sense to you. I know some would say, well, the more people that listen, the more people you can help. Yes, absolutely.
Oh
That
yeah.
is the goal. But rather than get discouraged sometimes by, hey, I'm not meeting my listening goals or whatever,
Right.
I actually look at my goal is not the number of downloads. My goal is actually the content.
Mm.
So if I can speak some sort of truth into your life that's going to help you or change you or make you think of something in a way that you've never thought of it before, that's what I want to do.
And that's the best way of doing it. And that's something I cherish and actually believe in too myself as a Catholic growing up.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. Everyone's religion to me is the same. We all believe in our God. You know what I mean? We all have our beliefs. And I don't go against anybody with their stuff. It doesn't matter who you
sure.
are. And that's
Yeah.
something, I might believe in something, and then one guy might say, oh, well, I disagree. That's your opinion.
Hmm.
And that's what some people don't realize. Those are our opinions. Like my opinion of the Giants. They suck. But they really do, though. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
You just don't tell your third string quarterback, you don't tell the newspaper, oh, I'm glad I live home with mommy. She still cleans my clothes and tidies up my room and makes me dinner.
Yeah, and
You,
I think what you're saying is important because when you listen, especially not just to mine, but to your podcast as well, when you tune in, I'm not telling you what religion you should follow.
yeah.
I'm telling you what my experiences are, and I'm
Mhm.
telling you, hey, this is what's in my life has helped. This is what I've found. You should try
Yeah. Well,
it.
it's funny. I'm coming up on an anniversary
Mhm.
around Thanksgiving. It's my father's passing, and it
Okay,
gets harder every year. Thank thank God for my wife and my kids,
absolutely.
because if it's not them, I would be. Let's just say I might not be here doing this. I
Okay,
could have been in a car accident. Could be dead somewhere.
yeah,
I was I, when my pops passed, I was an alcoholic. Drinking,
mhm,
drinking was
yeah,
my never turned into the drugs. I will say that I was drinking heavily.
mhm,
Take a shot before I went to work. Took a shot sometime at work, and went right to the bar after work.
mm,
I was depressed. Anxiety was bad, and it took me a long, long time. So when my dad passed, I was 21, turning 22 years old.
yeah,
In the heart of college life, partying life, I had to make a decision. Decision was to help the family. I had to leave, left school, had to work full time. And do I regret it? Yeah, there's some days I'm going to regret it. Am I happy right now? Fuck yeah.
yeah,
Because I don't know what it'd be without that.
yeah,
My dad was my brother and my father, my best friend rolled into one guy.
yeah. That's a
You know,
tough one, man.
it was
Yeah,
tough. And when my mother's, they got right now, I hope not, but anything with my mom or my uncle, my grandfather was hard. My grandmother was another hard one. Um, my dad was the hardest, but
mhm,
you know, I learned from a lot of stuff, and my dad's teachings still go through me.
yeah,
Even though the man didn't speak really great English, the guy worked his ass off, and that's something
yeah.
I'm doing now. And I do it through the show. I do it through my life, and I do it through my wife and my kids. Sometimes I
How
do it
long
a
you
little.
how long you been
Um,
married?
uh,
I won't tell your wife.
oh, she's upstairs listening.
Yeah, better get it
Um,
right then.
8, 9. I think we're coming up on our 9-year anniversary next year. It's either a
Okay.
9 or a 10th.
Mhm.
It's everything's blurred. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally
But you know
understand. We're
what?
gonna be yeah, we're gonna be 19 years this year.
Okay, for
Mhm,
me to be, I never thought I would find the right woman either.
mhm,
Um, Stumbled across Match, and I got lucky with Laura, my lovely wife Laura. I'm very blessed. She is definitely one of the rocks of me.
mhm.
Um, she helps me out. We yell at each other and we have fun with each other. But what married couple don't yell at each other.
You
Um,
know, and I think that right there is one thing that people so, you watch a lot of TV and you think marriage is a certain way, right?
yeah, you think it is.
And it's not.
No,
It's not that way at all, right?
no, you have your
It
struggles.
yeah, all the time. Well, maybe not all the time, but
No,
you will have struggles,
yeah,
right? And you know what? My that is actually one of the things that I learned um, that I learned growing up is that you're not going to grow unless you're struggling,
true.
right? So there's this story from a uh, scientist, a marine biologist was
Okay.
telling. So lobsters, right,
Hmm.
or crustacean. Pick your crustacean, right?
Right.
How do they know it's time for them to shed their shells? Because you know how it works. Like a lobster will have to shed its shell because it's
So,
outgrowing it, right?
yeah,
So
exactly. Yes.
how do they know it's time?
Yeah. How would they know?
So what happens is that's an exoskeleton, right?
Hmm.
It's on the exterior of their body,
Right.
right? So the only way they would know that it's time to shed the shell and grow a new one is what? They've outgrown it.
They
How
outgrown it. Yeah.
comfortable you how comfortable you think that is?
I don't think it's gonna be that comfortable.
Right. So they're in pain.
Yeah.
That's how they know it's time to grow. That's how they know they're growing is the pain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pain in the
So then
sorrow.
the only way that they can get the shell off is to swim down to the bottom of the ocean
Hmm.
and rub their exoskeleton off on the rocks.
Wow, that I didn't know.
Right. So they have to remove their own exoskeleton via rocks. That's painful, right?
Yeah, that sounds painful as I'm thinking
Right.
about it.
But then once it's off, they're free to grow.
Yeah,
And now, but during that growth period, they have to hide. Do you know why?
because they're not protected through the shell anymore.
Right. So think about that in a human sense, right? In a human sense, when you're struggling and when you're in pain, assuming you survive it,
Hmm.
when you get out the other side, like you had mentioned some of your struggles.
Yeah,
When you got out the other side, were you better than you were before the struggle?
took me a while. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah, but once you
because
came out of it,
I came out on top.
right, you're better than you were before,
Yeah.
and it's because you experienced the pain.
Oh, I experienced some pain too, being a bully and being the
Yeah,
bullier and being bullied.
right.
Um, Great example. I got left back in fifth grade. I
Hmm,
became a little bit of a rebel.
gotcha.
My friends they went to the higher grades. I stayed back, and I went to a Catholic school. I'll mention that too.
Hmm,
So I was always the biggest kid, girth wise, weight wise, height wise, but I was also the strongest.
mhm.
So it would take 6, 7 kids to jump me in the boys' bathroom and fight me
Yeah,
every single day. I would not fight because I knew what would happen if I did.
right.
I would literally hurt them traumatically.
Yeah,
So fifth grade was left alone is when I went to sixth grade and my friends went to seventh and eighth. So they went to different side of the
schools.
building.
Yeah,
No, well, no, we were in the same building. They were
just
just
different
different side.
locations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But when we had like bathroom breaks and stuff like that, they would wait for me, close the door, and then jump me. And I'll tell you, the one day I snapped because the bully came after me and I flipped him so hard into the sink. The sink broke.
oof.
Water's everywhere.
Yeah,
Then the other guy comes, threw his head in the toilet. Then another guy came, slammed his face into the urinal, punched one kid, kicked one kid in the nuts, punched another kid. My shirt is ripped. I'm covered in blood because a couple of guys got a couple lucky punches in me. And I walked out of there. I walked out of the bathroom and teacher goes, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine. I don't know about them." Of course, all the adrenaline left out of my body and I fell down because,
right.
all the
Blacked out.
adrenaline, yeah, blacked out. And it wasn't even a blackout drunk. I was 13 years old. I was
Right,
blacked out from the
right.
adrenaline that was going through my body. And I wake up in the nurse's office with 7 of them there with me. Um, what happened? I go, they started, I won. You know, um, I said, I didn't want to do this. I just snapped. I got suspended for a week. So did they. Came back to school. There was mutual respect there. But
Yeah,
that's not the right thing to do though. But it was the only thing, you know what I mean? It was how far can you get pushed? How far can you keep going?
yeah. Well, I know that you're saying that that wasn't the right thing to do. First of all, it's not the right thing to do to hurt people, of course.
Right.
But in that situation, did they bug you afterwards?
No, there was that mutual respect then,
Right.
hey,
So
mm,
so it was a
it's
painful it was a painful experience for all, but they
right.
learned from it, right?
They
And they
did.
came out better. Well, and I'm going to assume that you did too.
I
But
did.
you had mentioned prior in this episode that you had your dad pass away
Yes.
and that you had your struggles.
Mhm.
Once you move past that, kind of like what what happens in nature with the lobster. You're now grown, you're
Yeah.
married, you have kids. Look at how far you've come, right?
Oh, yeah. Come
So
a long way.
sometimes, yeah. So like prior to maybe, you know, you went through some pain, but look at you now, right?
Mhm.
Look at you, and the growth doesn't happen sometimes unless you experience great pain,
Yeah, and I did.
right?
And every year I don't forget about it. I think I know he's always looking down. I know he's looking at his 2 grandkids.
Yeah,
Um, one's definitely like him when he was younger, and that would
yeah,
be my son.
yeah,
But you know what? I look at my daughter, I look at my son, I look at my wife, and I'll tell you this. There's a picture of my wife did such a great picture of this one. I never thought about it until they gave it to me for Father's Day. Um, this one really brought a tear to my eye, and I'm about to almost do it again. There was a picture of me hanging around my dad at Disney with the backpack on,
yeah,
and my wife tried to recreate that picture with my 2 kids.
yeah,
And I never thought about it. And I'm like, why are we doing this? You know what I mean? Like, oh, whatever. I'm having fun. The kids are having fun.
yeah,
And I never thought about that. And then Father's Day rolls around. I'm always sad because my dad's not around to celebrate with my father-in-law would be great. You know what I mean? And I saw that picture and I just cried of tears of joy
yeah,
because
yeah,
seeing that picture and seeing my kids doing that to me
yeah,
and hopefully pass that tradition on when they have their kids and
yeah,
seeing that photo grow from
yeah.
my dad to me, there being their dad, and hopefully their
You
dads.
see him in you.
Yeah,
You see your dad in you,
yeah, I do
right? Yeah.
every day.
And
That,
that rocks, dude. You see the best part of your dad in you, and like I'm the same way with my dad. Like him, and I'm lucky enough to still, he's still around.
mm-hmm,
Like I'm blessed and like lucky. And but I can tell you that I see that in me, and I see that in my kids, and there's nothing more. Uh, you're gonna make me cry.
oops,
There's nothing more important to me than the time that my dad gets to spend not just with me, but with my kids. Because one, like we're not going to get that forever,
right,
right? We're not going to get and we want to redeem the time. I don't
mm-hmm.
know if you're familiar with that saying, but we want to redeem the time,
It's the best
and
time.
that means we make best use of the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I actually have another story for
Okay.
you, and this one and this is one of the reasons why I do what I do. And that's why I know that my whole life, like the whole message has been, um, is I don't know if I want to say this is a confirmation of why I live the way I live or why I act the way I act. But when I got married, my mother-in-law, who and I'll give you a story, um, and I feel safe telling you the story because
Mm,
nobody from my family will probably hear this, at least not right away. But my mother-in-law did not like me, and it wasn't because I had done anything really wrong.
okay.
Because I'm not a terrible person. Like I'm a good dude. I
Mm,
I have
and I believe you
confidence.
are.
I have confidence in myself saying I know that I'm a good person. Like
Yes.
when I say a good person, you know, um, I'm the type of guy you want your daughter bring. Like when I was that age, I was the type of guy you want your daughter
Yeah.
bringing home and getting married to. I had made decisions in my life who I was going to follow and what I was going to do with my life, and she just didn't like me because I was coming to take her firstborn away from her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and the struggle was real for 5 or 6 years, man.
I believe it.
The struggle was real for 5 or 6 years. Did not like me, and she got breast cancer, and so what ended up happening was, I don't know for sure, but I think she started realizing that she wanted to, as I said, redeem the time. And watching her go through that
Mhm.
was difficult, but I was really blessed, because I was able to, through my job, we had FMLA.
Okay.
Um, my wife got to travel nurse, and we spent 3 months living with them while she was sick. Um, and every morning it was just me and her,
All right.
and my son. And so we had nothing else to do but to just get to know each other better.
That's a great thing.
And by the time it was over, and she died from breast cancer. By the time it was over, she was one of my favorite people.
Mhm.
And she would tell me that she loved me, and for me to for me to achieve that somehow, I didn't deserve it, okay, um, but uh, to see that change in her, and that struggle, and as she's dying on her bed, to still look at me and say the Lord's still good, still look at her people and say,
Mhm.
I know I'm suffering, but the Lord is good to me. And you know the example that she set to all of us in that moment, and to realize that I got to be part of that life.
Mhm. That's
I
a great
was
life.
by at the beginning, I wasn't so thankful to be part of that.
Right.
But at the end, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I am so thankful that I got to be part of that.
And it's the
I
best
really,
part
I
too.
mean, really was. And I'm sure you'd probably say the same thing about, your dad.
Every
But
day.
yeah, and so like but you're hearing a little bit now why my podcast is a little bit more serious.
But that's a good thing though. I mean, sometimes having this is a good serious conversation for my podcast because I haven't had one of these in a while. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And to me, that's uplifting because it's good to see other people, not just like myself or yourself, that there is struggle. There
Yeah,
is pain that we do go through. It's yeah, hey, listen, quoting Rocky Balboa of his Rocky movies, the world's not full of sunshine and rainbows, you
right.
know, but he says it's the best. It's not how hard you get hit, it's how hard you get hit and get up from it.
That's right. And
And
that's the character part. That's the character portion of it.
mhm,
Is you know, um, are we going to get up?
yeah,
Right?
it took me a while
Are
getting
we
up.
going to get up?
Yeah. I mean,
And
I'm
go ahead.
listening to your story and it's kind of funny. I remember the night before he passed. My father, a bunch of my friends called me. It's like, hey, why don't you come out? We know with everything going on, I think you need a night out. My mom even said it. So did my father before he couldn't stop talking, until he stopped talking. Goes, go out with your friends. All right. Went to the bar, had some few drinks, had some laughs, had some food, talking about the good times, stuff like that. Remembering my dad a little bit. And I remember coming home, oh God, I'm going to say probably around 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I sat there next to my dad. I see him and he couldn't speak anymore. He did one of those. Like, it's going to be good. It's fine. And the next morning, he asked me to keep a promise, which I did. I One thing he loved was my old high school football team very much. They were playing in the state championship. That Saturday he passed. He said, you have to go to the game for me.
Mm.
You have to be there for me with you. I said, all right. I drove down as I was getting ready. He was still breathing, but his soul was gone, but his body was still there.
Mhm.
And as I was getting ready, he quietly passed away with us being there. And he had a smile on his face
Hmm.
because he went to a better place. And I remember telling him, like, Dad, it's okay. Please. I didn't want to see you
Yeah.
suffering anymore. And a lot of people don't know about that. My wife does. She's probably hearing this again upstairs. I don't tell
Yeah.
this story a lot because it's so hard. But then when I look back now, who I am,
Mhm.
what I'm doing, what I should be doing, my beliefs, how hard I have to push myself still to this day, how hard I got to push my kids to get better. I gotta remember sometimes you got to take a step back, and I don't. And struggles happen, and I still,
Yeah.
right now we're all struggling through COVID. Still, we're all struggling with economy. Everyone's struggling just to get a paycheck. I'll say it. I seek help. I do talk to a therapist,
Mhm.
and that helps too.
And actually, that's one of the healthiest things you can do. It was funny. There was a time where we were getting I wouldn't call it marriage counseling, but we were getting counseling from our pastor.
Mhm.
We didn't really need it, but we wanted to know more. We wanted to
Right.
get closer, and people were shocked that we were doing counseling. It's like there's nothing like really extremely wrong with us or anything like that, but we wanted to understand, how do we get better?
Yeah.
And that's what counseling and therapy is about. I mean, I know it's kind of a some people look at it like it's something you only do when you're sick or when you're wrong, but once you've done it, it is so therapeutic that you don't want to stop,
Yeah.
right? And no one's saying you have to.
No.
That's the other thing is like no one's saying you have to. The one of the strangest things was because I struggled with some stuff too. I had put this is a hard experience for me because growing up, I didn't have lots of painful experiences, right?
Mm.
So I put my identity into my work,
Okay.
right? And so my first job, well, not my first job, but my first like career job,
Hmm.
like what I went to school for was I was a youth pastor at a church,
Okay.
and I put all of myself into that job.
Hmm.
I was with those kids 70, 80 hours a week, trying to build relationships, trying to help them out and trying to help them grow
Hmm.
spiritually, become adults and just teach them whatever good I could. And a lot of that was to try and get them to know who God is,
Yeah.
you know, and that has been the purpose of my life. You know, the purpose of my life has been to how do I introduce people to who God is?
Hmm.
And how do I get them to understand, granted, we were bordering on the religious portion of this, but that in my life has been my greatest goal. Alex, if I was sitting with you today, right now, like we're sitting here across from the table, if
Yep.
you were to ask me, Brandon, what's the one thing that you would want to tell me, you know, or the one thing or the message that you would want me to know before we left this podcast? Because we're not guaranteed tomorrow, right? That
Right.
type of
Exactly.
conversation. I would tell you, I believe that we were created to know God. That
Hmm.
was what we were created to do, and that we are at our best when we are in fellowship with Him and in fellowship with other people. And fellowship's kind of a churchy word, but all it
No.
means is that we're together,
Exactly.
right?
I fully
All
agree
it
with
means
that.
is we're together and we have relationships, good relationships with each other.
Yeah.
And so I believe that God is real, one, and that you can have a relationship with Him too. And in my religion, that relationship is facilitated through Jesus Christ,
Hmm.
right? And so that is what I spent, and it's all I've ever wanted to do. Tell you the truth, growing up, all I really want is for people to be okay and to know who God is. And
Right.
so I was spending my life trying to help kids do that. And then I got laid off.
That's the
right?
hard part.
So my entire life was devoted to this.
Hmm.
And then they're saying, nope, can't do it anymore. Right. And so I didn't have it in my life anymore. And so, I mean, for someone like me who hadn't had a lot of painful experiences in my life,
Hmm.
for someone like me, you kind of look at it like you're not enough.
Right.
Like, well, what, I wasn't doing a good enough job. You want me to leave? And that wasn't really it at all. It was just economy. Like, this is an '09.
Hmm.
We're talking about that economic crash in '09.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
remember that.
so people getting laid off left and right. And I spent the next year destitute, couldn't find a job. No one hired me. They'd be
It
like,
wasn't
"Oh,
easy.
you've got a degree? Sorry, we got to pay you too much. We can't hire you." You know, that type of thing. So I went through a time where, and you had mentioned you had struggles with alcohol. My struggles were different, but all addictions are kind of the same. They're not. I don't want to say they're all the same, but what I do want to say is they're kind of driven from the same ideology. Is I'm tired of not. I'm tired of feeling this way all the time.
Mm,
I just want to feel something other than what I'm feeling,
right,
right? I don't want to feel this anymore. So
right. I get it.
for a time, I want to feel better. And because the addiction gives you some sort of control over that,
Mhm.
at least in my case, the addiction would make me feel at least not feel that for a period of time,
Time.
right?
Yeah.
But it took that it took that experience to learn a lot of things. And one of those things that I learned was my identity is not in my job.
Mm,
My identity as a man is not determined by my job. And that was a hard lesson to learn. Okay. Because a lot of us men were told that your identity is in being able to do this for your family, being able to do that for your family. But you know what? Financially, we were fine. My wife's a nurse. We were travel nursing. She was making tons of money. Finances were okay. But I felt like less of a man because I wasn't the one doing it. Right.
no, I know.
But that is a lie. The part that's a lie is that I'm not okay because I'm not the one providing financially. That doesn't make you any less of a man, just makes your situation different,
It does.
right? But because of how I was brought up and the way that I was taught to believe, not saying there's anything wrong with my family or anything like that, but you were just that's the way it was, right? You grow up in a family where dad takes care of everything, even the finances,
Yep.
and so it becomes this feeling of I'm not enough.
And I
And
know that feeling, but
yeah.
and
And
one thing
so
I will say,
but then you get trapped in this ideology of my value is not enough.
mhm,
And you know what, Sleevey? That is a lie.
it is.
That is a lie.
That it is.
Um, and I realized at some point that I don't get to be the one who determines my value. And that right is reserved for the person who made me.
Yeah.
And he's already decided what my value is.
And your value is as high as mine.
Right. Well, he wouldn't have, like, believing in God, I don't believe he would have created me if he
Mhm.
didn't think I was worth it.
Exactly.
Right. And
He made
so,
us for a reason.
right. And that's, and it took, what's funny is you always say that when you're growing up. That was one of the things everybody told you growing up. God creates everyone for a reason. That's the thing you hear all the time, right?
Yeah, that's the
God
big thing
wouldn't
you
have
hear.
created you if he didn't have a plan for you. But until you experience pain or the things that until you've experienced life in a serious way, um, you don't realize what that means
Yep.
because we spend all of our time as adults trying to determine our own value. But the freedom for me came when I realized that God's already determined my value, and I'm okay.
Yeah. Same here. And I'm
you
happy.
know? Yeah. And
And
that's a freeing moment to say, okay, well, I don't have to spend my time trying to figure out if I'm good enough.
mhm,
Someone's already determined that.
yeah,
Okay. He wants me. Okay. That's the whole point. And so if that's true, then I can move forward.
yeah,
But I have to accept that as true and before I can move forward, at least in my situation.
right, right. I
And
mean,
so, yeah.
it,
And once I
it,
did, things got better.
yeah, and things are getting better,
Yeah.
and that's the
So,
best part of it.
I mean, there was a point, Sleepy, during that whole mess where I was, suicidal. I was I was gone, dude. I was missing in action.
Yeah, I believe it.
You know what I mean? I wasn't who I was. And if you listen to my show often, what's the one thing that I repeat myself over and over again? I say, your greatest assets are your relationships.
Hmm.
And you know who brought me out of that situation?
No,
My friends.
that's right.
I There was one night in particular where I was a mess. And I called my friend and I said, "Hey man, you need to come get me and we need to go do something or I don't know what's going to happen."
Right, right.
And
It's
he
you don't
drove
know.
over to my house and picked me up and we went to IHOP. He didn't really know what was going on. He just kind of knew.
Yeah, something was up.
But so we sat down and we talked and he told me this story about something he experienced in my life and it was exactly what I needed to hear. It was exactly what I needed to hear.
Right,
But because he dropped everything for his friend, saved my life.
and that's always a key thing.
Right. And so later on down the road after that, I had friends at my church saying, "You gonna come to you ever gonna come to this group that we're having?" Which for our church is a men's group. I said, all right, I'll show up. So I showed up to that group meeting for them. There's like 5 guys in this meeting, right? The cool part about that is that those 5 guys, by the time we got through the year, I've never been closer to a group of guys in my life.
Hmm.
And it was because they invited me in and they talked to me and we shared our lives together. Saved my life.
And those are the best friends you'll ever have too.
Right. And you don't forget that. And the reason you don't forget that is because one, relationships save lives.
Hmm.
And two, they're your greatest assets on this planet are your relationships. Those relationships will never be gone. I'll
True.
always be able to text someone from that group and they will respond, you know. And
Yeah, yeah.
and that and the one guy who took me to IHOP, we still, I mean, to this day, I
Still
mean,
talk.
yeah, it's not, I mean, this is over a decade ago, you know. So I mean, it's interesting that we brought up the topic, but it's nice to be able to chat with someone else who's open. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, exactly. And that's again what I love to do.
Yeah,
And this is
yeah,
why it doesn't matter about highs and lows. It doesn't matter about the person. You know what I mean? It means more to me for that person to talk about that as I talked about me today. And it means a lot. You know what I mean? If you think about what we just did today and just talked about right now, it's probably one of the most powerful things I've talked about in a while. And, the keeping the relationships. And for me, entering the new relationship with you guys in Unfiltered Studios means a lot to me too. Because if it wasn't for Mama Dita introducing me to Kev, maybe this would never have happened. You know what I mean? There's a reasoning why I was brought that that whole thing happened. That whole magical thing, as I say it, happened
yeah.
for a reason. And here we are. You know what I mean?
Chat away.
And to be part of this family to me, it means a lot. And
Yeah.
being with you guys, I sometimes I don't answer the banter quick enough because I'm at work. I'm always like, because I'm a dispatcher and I'm always on the phone or I'm on the computer
Right.
and I'm trying to catch up on all the notes. That's why I'm like, damn it, damn it, damn it. I'll start cracking up. But to see that, it's just showing the love to everybody. And it's just not just the podcast family, it's everybody in the world. Gotta show love. And this is, why how I end my show. I always say this. I end my show with love, peace, and happiness. Because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
as we're getting closer to ending the night, I gotta say is thank you for coming
Oh,
on
you're
tonight,
welcome.
man.
Absolutely.
Because to be honest with you, this was by far one of my favorite. It's not even out yet. It's one of my favorite episodes I've done in a while. I had some fun ones. I mean, I had some serious ones, but this was a good serious conversation too that I haven't had in a long time. As a
Yeah.
one-to-one like
Good
that,
for the
because
soul. Yeah.
very good, because again, you just don't know who you'll meet along the way that knows what you've kind of gone through and the struggles that you're going through. And,
Yeah.
and tonight's a great example. And I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight, without a doubt. Um, Before we do sign off and before we plug Unfilter again, um,
Mm-hmm.
let everybody know where they could find you and your show.
Well, you can find me in a lot of places. I'm basically on any streaming platform of your choice, but what you'll want to do is it's a lot easier to find me if you type in Finding Your Way with the Beeb, and that's spelled Beeb. Okay. You type that in, you'll find me. There's a picture of me staring off into the ocean from
Which is
my boat.
actually a great picture, by the way. That is a great picture.
My wife took that picture, and I
That's a
was like,
great
"That's
one.
going on my show." But and then you can find me at Twitter. It's at Beebs UNF Pod.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the places. I have a secondary Twitter that's specific for the show, but really most of my messaging goes to that at Beebs UNF Pod. Which we didn't really get to talk about the origins of
Oh,
Unfiltered Studios too much, but it actually ties into what we talked about a little bit
mm-hmm.
because it was born out of. It's funny because when I first met Kev,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "You're kind of what's the word? What did he say? You're a literalist, aren't you? You take everything someone says seriously." It's like, nah,
That's Kev.
you know, not all the time. I mean,
No.
but yeah, I'll believe most of the time. I'll take things literally just because, if say what you mean, that kind of thing. And we started working together, and we were selling windows
Okay.
and roofs, like outdoor exterior products.
Yeah.
And he goes, he started telling me he's a comedian, so he started telling me some of his jokes that are just hilarious. I mean, we're just sitting there, just talking, and I could sense that the dude was like a really good dude. But part of the point was is we would have all these really cool conversations, funny,
All
you know
right.
what I mean, and just a bunch of nonsense, really, and we just enjoyed each other's company. St. Joe was part of that too.
Mm-hmm.
He was in there too, but it was born out of these conversations. The studio itself wasn't how we started. It was Unfiltered was the name of our podcast, and it was just he's a comedian, doesn't say anything really serious, and I'm the dude over here who is serious, and it just worked. You know what I mean? And that's how we started our podcasting kind of venture.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, we decided that born out of that, we just because we started a show, we're like we met Mama D and we started interviewing people and we realized, there's this niche here for people to. This is where I pump the studio a little bit,
Yeah.
but realize there's this need for people who are just getting going in podcasting, don't really know what they're doing, or maybe they do and they just need the extra support. There are a lot of people who are podcasting who, you know what, they could one maybe they need a little direction, or maybe they just need a little bit of networking support, or maybe they need someone to show them how to do everything. We do all those things.
Yeah.
We do all of those things. Um, we help edit. We help with sound. We help with just hey, what do you need type
Right.
stuff. And so with the studio, if you're just getting going and you share the same values that we do, then we're excited to work with you.
Mhm.
So, I mean, for us, if you visit unfpod.com, which is our Unfiltered Studios webpage, you can check out all our shows.
Yeah.
We got 8 of them now,
Mm.
and the goal is to grow them exponentially. We want to have over 25. We want to have 30, or
Yeah.
and the sky's the limit after that. But if you're out there and you're just getting going on your show, and you need some help, you need some advice, or if you just need some encouragement, hey, we'd love to hear from you, and we can see if our values match.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear from you, absolutely. But if we can help you press what's the word? We can help you press record. That's the old saying. We can help you
Yes.
press record. But yeah, come visit us at Unfiltered Studios. We'd love to help you out.
Without a
But
doubt.
as far as my podcast goes, listen, you heard what I talked about tonight.
Yes.
That's a sample of how I am on my show.
And
Okay. I
that's a
mean,
great sample too.
um, and so if you want to go and listen, hey, you need someone to encourage you, or you need to hear something that basically I try to strive towards truth.
Mhm.
I can't guarantee that what I say is correct all the time because I'm a man and I fail sometimes. But if you need some encouragement and if you need a little bit of truth in your life, then visit my show. I mean, that's what it's for.
And
That's what it's for.
not just this show, but we have 8 great shows at Unfiltered Studios, and I'm thankful for being part of this podcast family. I'm thankful for everything tonight. Thank you so much again for coming on tonight. It's a truly pleasure having you on. We're definitely going to continue growing Unfiltered Studios uh, as a great family together, and I'm thankful for everything. And as of tonight, I can't thank enough. You know, just so much great stuff is happening. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I can't wait to share with everybody. It's going to be huge. My 1 year is coming up soon in January. I
Yeah.
can't believe it already. Wow, 1 year already doing this. It's been an amazing ride. And like I always say at the end of my show, it's nothing but love, peace, and happiness. Everybody enjoy together, and remember one thing: is just be happy and enjoy the times. Good night, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Catch you on the flippity flop.
There we go. I like that one.
Yeah.